we are going to talk about the apply function. So apply function in Pandas, that is basically taking a row or a column's data and pass it through a function and return some specific value. So basically from a data frame, we can take a row of a data frame or a column of a data frame, and we can pass through a function, and that function can be applied within the apply function, and apply function will return some value. Okay, we will see that what does that mean. But before that, as we can see that the apply function, we can pass a user defined function as well as we can pass the default pandas function. But right now we are going to first discuss how we can define the user defined function. So let's discuss how we can build the user defined function. So first of all, I'm going to write a function in which I want to say that if I pass a number, so give me the square of that number. So in order to do that, we have to write define, that is a keyword which is df, mean we are going to define a function. This is the name of the function, whatever you want to write. Then give the x, that means one parameter we have to give. So whatever the number we will give, and that is a numeric number, give us the square. Okay, so we are saying return x power 2. Okay, so that means right now we have defined a function called square. So whenever we are going to again call it with square and then bracket with the number, so if we run this command, we will see that we will get the square of that particular number. Similarly, now we are again calling this function square, and we are giving the function value 5, and we are getting the square of that particular number. Okay, let's define another function which is an average function. So right now I am saying that define a function where I will give two numbers, and the function will provide me the average of that two numbers. So how we can do that? Again, def, that is define. So that is basically the keyword for defining the function. I'm giving the name of that function avg, that is average, and two arguments. So you can say two parameters of this function. So basically whenever I'm calling this average function, so I have to give two inputs. Okay, return. So in return, we are saying that sum that those numbers and then divided by 2.0. So which means divided by 2, and we will get the average of these two numbers. So how we can call, again we are calling average, and I'm saying take the average of 5 and 6. So as you can see that this is the average of that. So now we have seen that how we can define a user defined function and how we can call it and to get the results. Now I'm going to talk about to define a data frame. Okay, so as we have seen that we can define the data frame using PD, that is pandas dot data frame is the function that is available in pandas. Okay, then bracket start, we are saying the dictionary of a. Okay, so that is a is basically a keyword, and what are the elements of a? Then colon sign, we can write down a list. So that means all these numbers are under the A. Similarly, we are defining B, and then we are defining a list. So this is the elements of B. Okay, because we are storing this particular function into DF, if we write down DF, we can see that particular function. So let's say, so this is called 2 columns and 3 rows, and I want to scale the first column. So how can I do that? The first way is we can simply write down df, that is the data in which we have stored the data. Okay, that is a variable, and then I can call the first column, that is bracket a, or either I can write down df dot a. Okay, so either the way you can use. As you remember that in the last section we also discussed, if in the name of the variable there is a space, then you cannot use dot method. Then you cannot use df dot. Okay, but if there is no space in the variable name, then you can use dot method. But for both the cases, you can apply this approach. That's okay, whether you have the space in the variable name or not. Okay, so right now I am using the bracket method, that is df a, and then I am squaring it, mean power 2. So once I run this command, we can get the square of the first column. The same thing we can do it through the apply function. As I told you earlier while we were defining the apply function definition, we said we can give the input of the data frames row or a column. So a single row or a single column, and we can apply uh, a function within the apply, and apply will return according to that function value. So as you remember that we have defined a square function in which what that function is doing, so whatever the input we are giving, okay, it will square it. So remember that right now this square function is doing what? It will do only the single number square. But with the help of apply, what it will do, when we are saying df, the first function, and then I am saying apply, so that means we are accessing the first column, then dot apply square. So which means it will take the square of every element of the first column. So that is the advantage of the apply function. Although we have defined the square function for a single element square value, but right now with the help of apply function, we can apply the square on the every element of the first column. Similarly, we can apply through of the second column as well. Similarly, we can also apply the square on row wise as well. Okay, so I hope it is clear now. So what's the apply function can do? Similarly, right now I'm again defining another function which is just printing. Right now I'm saying def, that is defining the function. This is the name of the function. A, print A, right? So this is, we have defined a function. So whatever the argument I am giving, so print it means just define that print that number or whatever the string I am giving it to you. Okay, right now I am saying df, so that is we have defined the function earlier. So now I am saying that df apply. So in a apply function, I am again giving the printed function. So what it will do, it will print this df function. But as you know that because right now when we have defined this user defined function, we haven't mentioned any return, mean we haven't returned anything, we were just printing it. So due to that, it will print the first column, second column, but after that you can see that a none, b none. So this is due to when your function returning nothing. Okay, if you are returning something, then you haven't get this value, so only you will get this one. So if you write down return 0 or something like that. Okay, so the next thing is now we are going to take the average of 3. So again I am defining a user defined function. So what I am trying to say is, because my df variable in which we have that store a data frame, so I have 2 columns and 3 rows. So what I want the average of every row. Okay, so for that I am saying that define a function. Okay, and I want to apply a function, right? So I'm defining a user defined function, that is df average 3, that is mean the average of 3 numbers, and return the average of these 3 numbers. So we have defined a user defined function. So that means whenever I am calling average 3 and give the 3 arguments, it will return me the average of those 3 numbers. So as you can see that if I write down df dot apply and the name of this function, it will give me the error. Why it is giving me the error? As we have defined that in an apply function, we can give the input of the data frames, single column or a row. Okay, so right now it will giving us the error that y and z are the missing argument. So that means it is right now reading only the first x argument. So the thing is how we can tackle this situation. So we can tackle this situation using this way. So that means instead of defining the function this way, okay, so we can define the function this way. Okay, so how we are defining it? We are saying df average 3 column. So I am saying that x is equal to column 0. So that is basically which mean, so we are basically taking the average of column 1's every element. So that means this element, this element, this element. So this is equal to x, this is equal to y, this is equal to z. Similarly, this is x is equal to x, this is equal to y, this is equal to z. So we are doing this way, right? So as you can see that with the help of this, then again I am doing return x plus y plus z divided by 3. So now we can take the average of three numbers. Okay, now if I am going to apply the average 3, as you can see that the right now argument is only one, that is a single column, okay, or a single row. So when we are doing this one, you can see that, so we are getting the average column wise. So that is this one, basically the average of first column and then the average of second column, because we have stored the row wise elements, okay. Now, similarly, if you want to get the average row wise, okay, so how we can do that? So right now we have only two columns, so that means we need to take the average of two columns, okay. So that's why we would be able to get the average of row wise. So how we can do that? So we have to define again a function, okay. Then how we can do that? X is equal to row 0, x is equal to row 1. That means basically we are saying that average of column and average of second column, okay. And after this we are returning the average of those two basically columns, okay. So then we are saying define apply average to x is equal to 1. So with the help of this one, we would be able to get the average with respect to row wise, okay. So instead of, if we are not applying this one, so it will consider as a column wise. Okay, now we would be able to get the average row wise. So right now how we are getting the average of row wise, that is 5 plus 10 divided by 2, 10 plus 20 divided by 2, and so on. So I hope you understand the function of the applier. That is, in applier we can give a function that is either a user defined function, or either it is a you can say the default function that is available in Python, okay. And but apply function will take the row entry of the data frame or a column, okay. So make sure that you have the single argument function. So how you can make it, we have discussed, either you can define this way or a column wise, or either you can define row wise. So whatever the way you want to adopt, so depending upon your situation. So now what I am trying to do is I will use the apply function to identify the missing value in the data. So how we can do that? First of all, I am going to read a data frame, okay. So I have a data in a CSV format, that is basically the word parameter underscore data, which is a COVID-19 data set. So I am reading it through pandas, that is pd.read underscore CSV, and I'm storing into the word parameter word meter variable. And then after that I am just checking its first 5 rows, okay. Now again, as you can see that we can see some variables having NaN, that is basically indicating the missing numbers, okay. So how we can tackle these missing numbers? So we can tackle these missing numbers, you first of all identifying how many missing values in every column, similarly how many missing values in every row. First we have to identify that particular thing, then we will check it how we can tackle with these missing numbers. So first of all, we can use the apply function to identify how many missing numbers in every row and how many missing numbers in every column. So in order to do that, again I'm defining a user defined function, that is def missing underscore number a. So that is the input parameter. Right now I am saying that return. So what it should be returned? I am saying sum a dot is null. So that means wherever it is finding a null value, mean missing number, NaN number, okay, sum that particular value, okay. So it will return us the counts of row as well as the column wise, depending upon how we are calling it. So once we have defined a function in order to count the missing numbers, so in order to get the output, I am saying that print missing values per column, so that would be written as it is. Then we are saying word parameter, in which we have stored this entire data set. Then dot apply, and in apply I'm giving this user defined function apply number, okay, and x is equal to 0. So with the help of this x is equal to 0, that means it will be applied in every column. So once we run this command, you can see that it is giving us against every column how many missing numbers we have. Okay, so this is basically giving us the count. If you want to get the row wise missing number, then you have to write down x is equal to 1. So this is the same message which we want to print, and then again this would be same, only the difference is x is equal to 1, so you can see the missing numbers in row wise. So I hope you can understand what is apply function and how we can use that. So right now we have applied the apply function in order to identify the missing numbers in every row as well as in every variable or every column.